Today I'm going to have some fun with a light box and just make something really comical, I think. I've got these stones. They were on my driveway, so that's why they've come off. And I'm going to turn those into some birds in a little while. But I want a piece of stick to go in this frame first for these birds to sit on. So I'm going to quickly measure how much I want. So I want it to go from there and really across there like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this stick on my 2 points, there and there. Breaking quite easily. Quite an old stick. It fell out of one of our trees, so it's a bit of dead wood. So that should now fit in this box about there for the birds to sit on. I want to get rid of all this bark. I don't want this dark on it. I want it to be quite a light stick. And because it's so dry, this should just pull off really, really easily. There we go. That's come off quite easily. I need to remove that back little spit there, because if not, it's not going to lay flat. But I am going to leave that one sticking out. That'll fit across that picture like that. I want it about there towards the bottom, and that's going to look quite good, I think. I'm not going to do anything else to this, not going to varnish it or anything. I want it to look, this bit looking a bit natural. This is going to cost next to nothing to make, isn't it? Because it's just made with some stones I found in my driveway, a bit of stick and a light box and a few paints. Before I go any further, what I'm going to do is varnish these rocks using some satin varnish, not gloss varnish. And then they can be drying while I'm doing everything else. And they should only take a couple of coats. If you don't want to varnish your rocks, you don't have to. I think what they do is they make them look a little bit more fun and a little bit darker. And it brings out some of the natural colours in the rocks as well. I mean, I could have polished these in my rock tumbler, but I ain't got no time for that. I'll have to wait 4 weeks. See how pretty that looks now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off varnishing these. While my rocks are drying, what I'm going to be doing is my background. I've got a piece of paper here that I'm cutting round this. This is the back bit of the light box that I'm going to be using. And that's going to become my background once I've painted it. And all I'm going to do is put a brief horizon line in this, like that, quite low down to the ground, because I'm going to have that like a sky and that a little bit like the ground or grass. I'm going to use watercolours for that. I've got my watercolours out. So there's my watercolours. And I've also got my watercolour pens, because these have the colours written on them, which makes it so much easier for me. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put a little bit of yellow in this, because I want it to look like there's some sun in places coming through with these pens, these watercolour pens. And if I want to soften that off, then all I need to do is rub that around using a little bit of water. If I want to place some water on here first, then I can. And this is where the green is going to go. I have got a bit of paper here so I can see the depth of the colours as well, because I'm not very good at seeing all the colours. Now, I'm no artist, so I'm sure you can do a lot better than me at this. But I'm certainly no artist. I'm just getting some different shades in, going from lighter at the top to darker towards the foreground. I'm going to dry that with a hairdryer, and if I need to go over it in any places, then I can do that and change it around. So now I've got my blues, what I'm going to do is pop my blue over this, leaving some white as well in areas, because that way hopefully going to look like clouds. So I'm quite happy with that at the moment. And now all I'm going to do is put some like grassy bits here to break it up. Nice and easy, nice and simple. A few lines there I want to try and get out. I don't want them there. Now I can carry on and do the other sides of my rocks, because they've started to dry now. I'm going to actually give them a coat of gloss varnish, because I think that is going to show up a little bit more. So my rocks are all nice and dry now, and I can start putting on my little eyes and bits and pieces. And I'm going to use a permanent marker for this, because I think that's the best way to do it. So each one of these stones is going to have its own little character. I'm going to draw a little beak on like that, and then draw the eyes on like that. This beak I want to have filled in. It's going to fill that in. You could paint these on if you wanted to. So there's that one. I think I'm going to give it some eyelashes as well. So I'm quite happy with that. This one's going to be looking that way. So let's give him an eye. Let's put a bit of a beak on there. Well, I'm all ready now to put this together. And the first thing I need to do is glue this onto my backing, making sure that I've got the hook up the right way, so when I hang it up, then it's going to be up the right way, because I can't tell you how many times I've messed that up. And I'm going to be using good old PVA glue for this, and make sure that's spread all over there. It's quite a warm day in here today, so this is probably going to dry very, very quickly, especially on this porous board. So I need to be working quite quickly. Get a nice even coat, or as even as I can, and get it completely spread over. Get my little brayer roller and roll that on. Turn it over and then put a bit of weight on there somewhere clean, and then that will stick there nicely. So now we're ready to build it, but don't forget, don't start building it like this. You need to put your outside frame on it first, because if not, that will be in the way when you start to build whatever you want to build. So I'm going to put it about there, and I'm going to start building this with the hot glue gun. Now I've decided that I'm going to use these 4 only rather than all 6, because they fit on there much easier. Although I could put that little one there, but I don't think it's going to look right there. So I'm going to put these 4 across there. So I've got my glue on there, and now all I've got to do is hold that down. And I'm using hot glue, and I'm holding that down until it's really nice and dry. I don't want that to move. So now that's nice and stuck there, what I'm going to do is start putting these on. And all I need to do for these is pop this hot glue on the back of these. I'm going to do them at different heights, like that. I can remove that frame now because I don't need that there. And now I can put some little legs in using a black pen, and some little feet on there as well, like that. Oh yeah, that's quite cute. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll finish putting these little feet on and these little legs, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to finish it off. So that's all done. Now I'm going to put this on. I've made this on my Cricut. It just says rocking with my tweets instead of rocking with my peeps. But I don't want to put that on flat. What I'm going to do is put some of these little double-sided pads on it to give it a bit of a lift off there. And these are really easy to put on. They just stick on there like that. You don't have to do this bit if you don't want to, but I like to make them a little bit silly. Again, put my frame on, pop that in there, like that. And now I can put it all together. I'm going to give my glass a bit of a clean. Put my frame in, put my thing in, like that. Put that down. And there we go, we're all finished. Rocking with my tweets. Standing on a stick, and I made this for next to nothing. All it cost me was the frame, and I got this when it was on offer. So I think this was £6, this frame. Now I would probably sell this for about £18 if I was going to sell it, but I'm not going to sell it. It's going to go up in my studio because I really, really like it, and it's going to cheer me up every time I see it. Hope you've enjoyed this. Simple to make. Check out the other one I made as well. I think you'll love that. Again, really simple, but with a smaller frame. If you want to learn more about doing this type of thing with stones and rocks, then check out the video that I've got coming up next. It's very, very different, but using the same sort of techniques and with a smaller frame. Boot that like button, hit that subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your crafting. Take care. Bye.